Alrighty. How is everyone? Sorry, sometimes with these random streams, you kind of have to give all the platforms a sec to get themselves updated and send out notifications and all that fun stuff. So, how is everyone? Let's see, where are people watching this from? I hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. Hope you had a chance to go out and do something fun. I don't know about you all, but where I'm at, anything fun likely got canceled due to flooding. I know the last couple of times I popped on here by myself, it was for hello, somewhat negative reasons. And it seems like there's certain people. Seems like there's certain people that get a little paranoid, but no negativity on this one. Hey, Drew, how's it going? Oh, I do have some stuff for you later on, but I did want to kind of just hop on here to announce a little bit of a side project we're doing. And granted, I know there's going to be some people that are skeptical of the idea, but it is something worth exploring, I feel, at least. So, if everyone's seeing that on the screen, the little message here, Melon gets a little funky when you're trying to work it from two computers like I usually do. Bring it over. All right. I'll hit you up after we're done here. Hi, Shiloh. How's it going? So anyway, I did want to bring attention to this little video because it is getting to be summertime and the kids are getting out of school. Unfortunately, this is a time of year where traffic fatalities tend to increase by a lot. So wanted to make a little video to put a stance on it as well as kind of test out a couple other topics we have in mind. So give that a shot. Give that a shot. Do check that out when you give a chance if you haven't already. It's really well done, if I do say so myself. Ooh, that is terrible, Shiloh. My goodness. I hope she's okay. She was somehow mad at the sign. Wow. Some people, man. Some people. Sup, Facebook user? You got to be aware that sometimes with these streaming platforms, only really noticed it with Facebook. Sometimes, if you don't give the app your certain permissions, it's not going to show your name. So, sup, whoever you are. As the guy was putting it back, she was mad at the sign for being in the middle of the road, she said. Ew. Oh, hey, what's up, Chad? All right. So, Anthea, yeah, I know. YouTube is not as bad. It's Facebook, it tends to happen. Yes, Sherry, I do see you. Right, so let's get into the main subject matter. I know this is a topic that a lot of people tend to be skeptical of, and I don't blame you. It's. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, I see you, Sherry. No worries. Anyway, I know this topic is something that a lot of people are skeptical about, and I don't blame you. I know it sounds absolutely insane. It's bonkers, for lack of a better word. But those of you who've been following the channel for a while now know that I've kind of revealed certain things about myself, which, if they are what they seem to be, may indicate I have deeper connections with the ET phenomenon than most people realize. Some of our more high-profile guests, Elena Denon, Craig Campbell-Basso, Barry Fitzgerald, we didn't really get much into the conversation with him. He seemed kind of worrisome at the idea, but anyway, a lot of them, even they admit that it's out there, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, lifetime of alien abductions, alien wife, and hybrid children. Now, for those of you who are trying to say I'm trying to make myself sound cool, the one thing I want to ask you, and this is something that I encourage a lot of people to keep in mind when they try to throw certain counter arguments. What do people seek to gain from that? Having an alien wife? That means I can be such an irritating asshole that no woman on earth can't deal with me, or at least ones that aren't related. Who the hell would want to admit that? And who the hell would want to confess openly to having kids that he doesn't remember the physical act of making? I'm no Amber Heard. But that's a completely different subject. One of the conversations I had, and our dear friend Lisa Fry, she's even offered up her services to kind of help with the ordeal, and I may just take her up on that. Elena Denon, I finally got the guts to tell her the story as much as I knew about it at the time. She recommended that I explore abduction regression therapy type of thing. And yes, it is something I've done sort of in small doses. There was a woman I reached out to. Her name is Lori McDonald. She comes up a lot when you look up alien abduction situations. She's a MUFON researcher, does regression therapy to try to help get people to try to remember more details about their experiences. And it's something that even she was willing to take a look at if I was able to hop on a plane to San Francisco. As much as I would love to see more of the Golden Gate Bridge, besides what I happened to catch while on a flight for my trip to Thailand, had a long layover. I would love to see more of San Francisco, but yeah, hell, who wouldn't want the opportunity to just be able to hop on a plane and go anywhere in the world, right? Anyway, Lisa Fry, this is something that even she's nervous to do. She's curious about what may happen, but with this type of thing, you never know how someone's going to react. Elena Denon, she directed me to a gentleman, I believe it was Tony Rodriguez, I think his name is. I have the site saved on, I have the site bookmarked on my computer. Hold on. What the hell did I do with it? Anyway, this is a gentleman who comes up a lot in UFO circles, and he actually offers a course on his website for potential abduction victims to walk themselves through trying to remember more details. And I thought this might actually be a little interesting side project to document as I underwent this process, just to basically see what happens. Hence the title, The Curious Case of Dakota Frandsen. Regardless of whether or not you believe this story, that's on you. I'm just going to say that now. And I would love to see the alleged proof that some of you tried to say that you have. And yes, I don't mind if you go tell this. Customers. But even fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. This honestly scares the shit out of me. Yes, there's a lot of people that say that when it comes to these types of experiences, you feel enlightened when you see these beings. You feel like you understand more. And I'll be honest, it's been a journey of self-discovery. But to the extent that a lot of these reports have been happening in my own life, half the reason why I focus so much and try to figure out different ways to document what I'm seeing is because I question my own insanity every day. Come on now, perk up. See what I mean? This particular location, I choose it because one, it's in view of the camera. Yeah, I'm just going to use this as an example. Two, it's out of the way of any electronics. It's just my tablet from my day job. To where it minimizes as much possible signal interference. Say someone walking by with their cell phone as I could possibly do. Now, there's been a couple of times when I've tested it here on the show. I've tried to make sure I've mentioned it because there's been people who automatically assumed. But there's been a couple of times when I try to use the 5G mobile tethering on my phone in order to try to come in clear. Because internet kind of sucks where I'm at as far as being able to do this type of streaming stuff. Hence why you see me on my phone a lot. I have a limited data plan and I can bounce through mobile tethering for special occasions. Anyway, sometimes when I turn on the 5G, clearly that thing lights up. Right now, unless someone stashed a radioactive sample, there's no wiring here. I get down lower here. Yeah, it lights up close to the Wi-Fi antenna. I go over here where I had this one of those little shrimp bowls. Nada. This, because it's turned off, my little plasma ball here, nada. And there's been times where I purposely turn this on because as you see, it almost airs the thing out. But I back away, put it to its original spot. Hardly anything. I turn it off. Weird. Anyway, see, I question my own insanity every day. But if I'm able to find a way to document it, then that quantifies my experiences a little more. I haven't gone totally insane. But nevertheless, this is obviously a topic that needs to be explored. So, what are my plans here? This is going to be a one-off special series. I initially thought to do it as just kind of a audio only thing because it's mostly just going to be me talking, kind of like an audio journal type thing. Plus, I also wanted to try to diversify some of the programming we have on the podcast side as well as on the video side to try to increase traffic to both areas. Hey, Shiloh. Yeah, Facebook's a little buggy. YouTube's a little weary. But you can't win them all. If I can just figure out how to get the special access to the RTMP protocols for TikTok, I can go live on there too as well. But I'm not special enough, apparently. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The goal is purely for selfish purposes. To see what would happen. To try to understand why this is happening. Because I find it funny that people that go to cheer her on all of a sudden change their story the second they get upset with me. But nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that other people are seeing the exact same thing. If I'm making this up, how is it that the being, my daughter, how is it showing up in photos, dreams, and EVP recordings, clear as fucking day, in Canada, in the UK, down in Texas? How is that possible? There has been enough detail where I could digitally recreate the little girl's image. And Sherry here puts the point that she questions herself a lot too, when we shouldn't. Because of how extreme and rare, how minuscule the possibilities of all this I'm talked about is. Go back to the episode where we had Dr. Jeff Meldrum, the Bigfoot professor from here in Idaho. He said, like, the odds of running into something like Bigfoot, just as an example, you have better odds of scratcher tickets. Yet, here we are. So being that it seems to be such a common occurrence, we should question it, ask why it's happening, and maybe understand things further. How this is happening, nevertheless. And Sherry's even making a point out. How is it people thousands of miles away from each other who, by all indications, never met before in person, are having similar dream state visitations. How? How? There's things in psychology. What's a mass hallucination? If everybody's supposed to be different, how is it a lot of the people are saying the same thing? They may use different terms, but how is it a lot of people all over the world who are supposed to have never met, never crossed paths before, are seeing something? And you may think it's demons. There's reports coming in from government insiders that say a lot of what we consider are demons are actually them. Or some of them. This is I think whoever that is agrees. And let's go into another thing. The latest community episode when we had Brian G. Laverty, Mike Naked Bigfoot, and Sherry on. They noticed that I started going into a bit of trance. Now, mind you, Brian didn't seem to catch on to this, but a lot of when people get not visitations, visions like that, if you were to hook someone up to monitor their brainwave activity, and they start seeing stuff like that, you would have to get very concerned because it would register like a form of epilepsy. Think about it. What are things that are used to induce trances? Flashing lights, sound. Mhm. Now, there is a version of epileptic seizures that aren't as severe. I believe the term for them is Jacksonian seizures, which is basically where it causes the person to zone out for a few seconds. About 10, I think they said at tops, maybe 30 seconds. They just check out. They say that the major difference between that and ADHD zoning out is the fact that ADHD, you can still get the person's attention. If someone's having an epileptic seizure, if it's a Jacksonian seizure, it's not as severe. They'll eventually snap out of it, and they'll retain all awareness. Now, granted, not a lot of people here are medical doctors, so they're not going to know that unless they've dealt with it. And I'm going to confess something completely here. Heartfelt truth. This is me. Jacksonian seizures do run on my father's side of the family, where a lot of my supernatural what's the term I'm looking for here? Predeposits. A lot of my supernatural dispositions come into play. It's mostly from my father's side. Does that mean we're not seeing something? Does that mean there's something physically wrong with us? But yeah, it does. It means that our brains are firing off too much for our bodies to be able to handle. Now, thankfully, we don't have the more severe types where you see violent outbursts, or at least not to my knowledge, but I'm also estranged from most of that side of the family due to constant drama, drugs, criminal activity. Maybe the bridges will be rebuilt, but we'll see what happens. But who knows? Epilepsy is one of those things it's understood how it happens. It's understood why it should be monitored for obvious reasons, especially if you're the type that goes into the violent fits. But Like I said, a lot of what we're talking, like I said on the latest episode of Contact, a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to supernatural studies requires some very unfortunate things to happen. With epilepsy, they got to wait for someone to happen and physically crack their skull open to take a look to see what the hell the problem is. I think there's one guy you can probably see on TikTok that gets made fun of because he has a certain indent in his head, and a lot of people take his roast me video as an opportunity to say he looks a lot like a whale with a blowhole out of his head. That is scarring from surgeries he had to monitor his epilepsy. Thankfully, nothing that's been as severe in my family has happened because I really don't like going to the doctors unless absolutely necessary. But nevertheless, see, there's another example here. Who's to say that we're not firing up? No. Abilities wasn't the term, Sherry. During my experience while I was younger, my mom said we could translate the state and talk with her as I was seeing beings. Yeah, I used to do that too. Pretty much did that for as long as I could talk. Is there something medically wrong with me? Probably. But it's worth it exploring to find out and maybe help other people instead of just constantly going online to bash without any actual evidence. Five people are somebody jumping ship when I said that. So, nevertheless, this is something worth exploring. I'll try to make sure there's alerts out, maybe put out a little trailer on the main shows. To let you know when a new episode drops. I'm going to film the journals organically as they happen, so there's not going to be a real set schedule. But we'll see. We'll see how all this unfolds. Whoa, Shiloh. See, that's another thing. How do you know? Hmm. May have to talk about that one of these days there, Shiloh. But anyway, I do have to get going. I would like to thank all of you who came. No madama, please. Let's move on from that. A lot of exciting stuff coming with Bald and Bonkers. There's going to be a little bit more elaborated on one of those things I mentioned in the 100 Deadliest Days commercial. We're going to try to shift things up a little bit to start taking the company a little bit more seriously because, yes, it is a company. We have to make decisions through business to hopefully make it to where we can make this our full-time job and get rid of the boring day jobs. And yes, I'm saying that knowing my bosses know about this. Hi. Anyway, much love, guys. I'll see you when I see you. Let's see. What was it? Tuning Friday, Lost Magics. Saturday, the Bald and Bonkers show. Don't have much schedule for that on. Anyway, so if you would like to be interviewed, please feel free to get a hold of one of us. We're more than happy to have you on. Give you a little exposure. And I'm also thinking that with some of the newer groups being put together with some of our members, we might actually start trying to open up the channels a little bit more publicly, meaning that offer you everyone on here, everyone who is on good terms with us, a chance to be able to share their materials on ours, and maybe, just maybe, get you guys hooked up to where you can be featured on the Bald and Bonkers TV network. So, a lot of exciting projects. We got books, music, and TV shows. The documentary links are all in the description. If you don't see a link for like anything, check the flow code because we can't really fill up too much the descriptions with our crap, so we can make sure we have plenty of room for our guests. Anyway, I'll stop talking y'all's ear off. Have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week. See you this weekend. Much love.